that would be good. That's going to take about 4 minutes. But we already was talking about the definition of coaching per ICF that has to do with individuals and organization systems reaching their highest potential. And I want to talk just a little bit about ICF and what we perceive the role of ICF in helping coaches deliver the service that is transformational for individuals and organizations. You know, we're talking about ICF, and many people may not even realize the still short history of ICF. So it was established only in 1995. In 2 short years, we'll be celebrating our 30th birthday, much younger than me. And there were so many pivotal moments in the history of ICF that brought us to where we are right now. There was something very amazing about the founding mothers and fathers of ICF, that from the very beginning, they called it International Federation. They knew that coaching, although created in the United States, they knew that coaching will be a global phenomenon, and from very beginning had that mindset in their planning, which I think is really very important. Partnerships, like we mentioned partnerships already this morning, and there was an organization that ICF merged with to create a stronger voice rather than to segregate different organizations for coaching. A little bit against the popular belief, ICF was not created as a community for coaches. ICF was created to bring credibility to the then new and budding profession. The community for coaches was a great byproduct of creation of the ICF. And then, you know, there were so many things as the organization evolved. There are some great stories, speaking of stories, great stories of how ICF was created. Apparently, several people sitting on a couch in somebody's living room saying, like, we have to do something. We have to do something, let's create the organization. Almost 30 years later, here we are. And then we're talking about recognition of the accomplishments of coaching. The PRISM Award, I know we're going to be celebrating the PRISM Awards later this evening. The first International PRISM Award was awarded in 2005. Long time. Research portal, something that ICF is being known for, was established in 2015. The first credentials issued in 1998. So we have a long, long history of evolving. Much like we see the evolution of our clients, the same is very true for the organization. So ICF has been evolving for a long time, and in 2020, we actually came very much back to our roots and changed the name, not the acronym remained ICF, but we changed it from International Coach Federation to International Coaching Federation, so that it reflects even better on the fact that ICF is the organization for coaches, of coaches, and for coaching. ICF exists also very much for our clients, so they can have every confidence of working with the coach, of knowing how to find the coach, knowing what to expect from coaching, and ultimately reach their highest potential because of coaching. So here we are now, 28 years in making, almost 60,000 members in over 170 countries. That vision of coaching being an international phenomenon or global phenomenon has been definitely realized. We celebrated a month ago, 50,000 active credential holders around the globe. That's just absolutely phenomenal. And congratulations to all credential holders. 140 chapters around the globe. I want to say over 90 countries. Pat would know better than I, so you can ask her later. Over 2,000 coaching education providers, and I'm only talking about level 1, 2, and 3, and not CCEs. And then we are recognizable brand. As you can see, we have almost 240,000 followers on social media. We have our website is very, very popular, and so many people visit it every year. We are redoing the website, so hopefully it's going to be even better. So anymore, when we say ICF, one ICF, we are talking about the ecosystem, where different parts of the organizations are working together to really deliver the greatest value to the coaches and to the clients. So with the question about how ICF is supporting human development, this is what we decided as an organization, of course, with the huge input from you, the members, leaders of the organization, and staff, to organize our activities in a way that it's easy to understand from the outside, but also that it's really building the leverage within the system. We just released our new strategic plan. It was a lengthy and sometimes painful process of trying to boil down to what we want to accomplish, what impact we want to see in the world. And it is very important because, as you can imagine, we could be doing a million things, but the million things may not be done well versus concentrate on things that matter for our internal audience and for our external audiences, and for the world, for that matter. As you can see, we try, with everything we do, we try to be true to our vision and mission. Vision especially, a world where coaching is integral to transforming societies. Integral, transforming societies. There are many explanations, many stories that could be told about that, but this is really our North Star, our guiding principle. And we kind of organize our strategic plan into the member focus. Still, there is no ICF without professional coaches. There is no coaching without professional coaches. Organizational, making sure that as an organization we are sustained, we are growing, and we are delivering that impact in the world. But that empowerment, you probably know that our hashtag is empower the world through coaching. Exactly, empowerment. And as you see, the definition of that particular piece is propagate coaching as an integral enabler of human development. We're not claiming that coaching fixes everything. Coaching is not about fixing. Coaching is enabling human development. And that's how we want to be seen in the world. So very quickly, we are realizing that potential by those several elements of our ecosystem. So of course, there is an organization looking primarily into professional coaches. So it's a membership organization. One thing that not everybody realizes, to be a member of ICF, one has to be a trained coach. In other words, I'm borrowing a term from somebody else, coach curious can certainly participate in some coaching activities, however, they cannot be members of ICF. Very few organizations have this requirement for them. So we have our trained, educated, professional coach practitioners belonging to the organization. And then we have another membership organization. This is a new addition to ICF, and it is coaching organizations. Many of us see that coaching is being really picked by larger systems, by organizations, and we already talk about building coaching cultures in organizations, building internal coaching capacities in organizations. Leaders and managers using coaching skills, by far the fastest growing part of the coaching continuum. And we realized that within ICF, we did not necessarily have a space for those. So now we do. Now we are working with several hundreds of organizations that are interested in bringing coaching to their organizations, not only as a privilege for the C-suite, but really to offer it throughout the enterprise and to build the awareness of coaching. Speaking of awareness of coaching, we work very closely with PricewaterhouseCoopers, and PwC does a coaching awareness study for us. The first one we did was in 2010. And in 2010, we have a saying in the States that if you don't, like a good lawyer, if you don't know the answer, don't ask the question. We did not know the answer, and yet we asked the question, what is the awareness of coaching? At that point in 2010, that awareness of coaching was 51%. We were pleasantly surprised. move forward to 2019, we did that study again, actually in 2020, and released the information a year later, and we observed a jump to 72% worldwide. And that's unprecedented. We asked our colleagues at PwC, because as you can imagine, they are doing this kind of studies for many, many other organizations and professions. And we asked them, have you seen this kind of an acceleration? Nope, we have not, and they are very curious about why. And we have a very simple answer, because it works. Coaching works. And this is why people are learning more about coaching. Younger generations, we know from the studies, are much more aware of coaching, and more so are very, very keen on engaging in coaching relationships. In organizational setting, there are many large organizations where young people who are first joining the organization are expecting coaching to be offered to them, almost like a sign-up bonus. So a lot is happening in organizational setting. We have our colleague here, Mr. Nathan, to talk about HR, right? HR is picking up on coaching, how to deliver, how to bring coaching to the larger organization. So those two are certainly very important. You probably are very, very familiar with professional coaches and what is being offered to that organization. I have my colleague Pat, who is representing this organization, and she certainly can tell you absolutely everything about that. I'm going to mention just one thing about communities of practice. This is something that ICF offers to its members. There are 9 very strong communities of practice that are open to everybody and anybody. You can meet your best friends and colleagues from around the globe, discussing what's important, discussing what's happening right now, and discussing perhaps what are some dilemmas that you may have as a coach, and how research, best practices, stories from your colleagues can help. Coaching in organizations, as I said, is a new addition to ICF. We've done a very extensive study with Human Capital Institute on coaching in organizations. There were several iterations of that study, including looking into internal coaches, millennials as coaches, and as clients, coaching as the supporting mechanism for change management. And we are repeating the basic study right now to see how, in now the spread of about 6 to 7 years, perception of coaching in organizations changed. And then, we are very, very proud of our standards as an organization. And we have 2 things to talk about here, and it's coaching education. I mentioned that we have over 2,000 providers of coach-specific education, and also our credentials and standards. With credentials and standards, we just mentioned the 50,000 credential coaches, and we are aligning ourselves with 2 tracks, parallel tracks. One is the content. So whenever we review our co-coaching competencies, whenever we have some new information coming from research, we first demand that those are reflected in the teaching delivered by our coaching education providers, and then that they're also reflected in the evaluation for the credentialing process. And with credentialing, we're also very keen on being best in class as far as the process is concerned. So we are aligned with the ISO standard 17024. You can call it being awake at night thinking about it. And it is a standard for organizations issuing credentials to individuals. We are actually applying for the formal accreditation by ISO later this year, and we're extremely proud of that, because this is a sign of rigor, of quality, and confidence in the program. And then, super important, I think, from the perspective of our mindset as coaches, thought leadership. Coaching is still evolving, and evolving quite fast. Jonathan Asmore who will be speaking later today, Jonathan does a lot of research. We've been doing research together about new applications of coaching, about new findings in the marketplace, about the science behind coaching. You know, I've been with ICF for a long time. I won't tell you how long. And when I first started, there were so many terms that right now we use all the time, and they didn't even exist. Internal coaching barely exists. Remedial coaching was a thing, rather than developmental or professional efficiency coaching. Team coaching, we recently issued the competencies for team coaching, and also are now starting the credentialing, specialty credential in team coaching. That did not exist. Coaching in organizations, coaching cultures, again, that did not even exist. So, and then we had such an input from neuroscience, and now with change management. So there is a lot of things going on in coaching. Unfortunately, Jonathan, I think, will be talking about ROI of coaching, something that is a perennial conversation in coaching. And you know, anymore with the more sophisticated populations saying like, trust me, it works, it's simply not enough, right? We know that when people experience coaching, you don't have to explain it much further, but oftentimes the person that you have to convince is that financial officer in your organization, and they don't go on trust and faith, they go on numbers. So ROI is another very important piece